The ceasefire talks in Islamabad between the United States and Iran have collapsed, as I predicted in my last video. And now the United States has imposed a naval blockade on Iran. At least that's what the CENTCOM says. So there's been a naval blockade imposed on Iran, which signals that there are going to be no movement of any vessels entering or departing Iranian ports and coastal areas, including all Iranian ports on the Arabian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. Now, I don't know what the Arabian Gulf is. I am pretty sure they meant Arabian Sea. But anyways, CENTCOM forces will not impede freedom of navigation for vessels transiting the Strait of Hormuz to and from non-Iranian ports. Now, this comes right after the talks about the nuclear capabilities between the US and Iran collapsed. Although the two countries did seem to agree on a few points, it did not seem that there was going to be any sort of agreement on the nuclear issue, and rightfully so, because Iran, its only leverage right now is the Strait of Hormuz, as well as there's the only leverage is the nuclear program. We don't know where the 440 kilograms, or it could be higher. The figure was from last year. We don't know where exactly is that uranium. Is it been destroyed? Is it in some sort of crude device? Was it captured by American forces, which pretended to go inside Iran to rescue the pilot? We never know. But blockading the ports has immediately resulted in a toll on the market, where the Brent crude prices have immediately risen up to $103 per barrel at the time I'm recording this video. So this is very interesting and honestly very predictable, because negotiations between the US and Iran just could not take place when Israel was never even on the table. We saw the fight between the Pakistani defense minister Mohammad Khwaja Asif, and then the Benjamin Netanyahu statement on that, and then Gideon Saar's statement on the same issue. So if the negotiator in itself is not impartial to is impartial to a specific side, that will never result in us in any sort of mediation efforts being successful. So I do not understand what Pakistan was trying to get from this ceasefire attempt. Most likely it was all US controlled. I think that is very obvious at this point, that Pakistan did not push for this proposal. It was US using one of its vassal states to push for a proposal after it needed time to replenish its forces in the Middle East, because it could not continue fighting in the war without ammunition, without its crew, without the military personnel getting some rest. Fatigue also exists in the troops when they are fighting for 40 days consistently and still unable to achieve their objectives. And when the entire world is against them, basically, the narrative warfare has also been pretty extreme. But we have to see where this moves on forward, because Israel has reportedly also began preparing for the next wave of strikes, just in case the United States gives them the go ahead to move on with the strikes. So again, this is very interesting. Now, we do not know where this will go on from here. But if I have to analyze myself, I do believe that strikes will restore. Donald Trump needs to move away from the pressure at home about the Epstein files, and so either he will continue the strikes in Iran, or something will happen and they will pause this conflict and he will move straight on to Cuba. So this is just more of an expansionist policy. I think if we compare it to the United States historically, this could be similar to the banana wars in the 1930s. That is not the closest. I don't think that there has been anything remotely close to the United States doing this, at least in my knowledge. But I think I could really compare this to the banana wars, when the US went over wars over bananas in the South Americas. So again, it's very interesting what's actually happening right now, and I am going to keep my eyes on this conflict. The blockade is going to create a problem, but I think the US Navy is finally prepared after days or weeks of preparations to clear out the mines in Hormuz and directly face the Iranian anti-ship missiles head on. So in my opinion, I think Pakistan was used as a fodder to gain some necessary time to replenish their depleted missile stocks. How long can they do that? Because the US only produces somewhere around 650 Patriot missiles and 90 to 100 THAAD missiles per year. They cannot just rapidly increase production in a year. These missiles are very expensive, and the production facilities take at least 2 to 3 years to start. The crew, the workers in the factory have to be trained, the supply chains have to be established, and a lot of the components come from China and even Russia. The titanium sometimes is supplied from Russia. So how much these countries are willing to cooperate, it only time will tell. But right now, I think that Iran is looking pretty good. They did not, obviously Iran has been more or less destroyed from the inside. They'll have to do a lot of rebuilding. But in their case of objectives, what they wanted to do was to deter the United States. They were very good at it, and now if the blockade continues and strikes begin, I don't think Iran has anything to lose to really be cautious about. So what they can try next is just fire anti-ship missiles on every single US ship they can fire. Again, that is not going to be easy because the Aegis-equipped destroyers are not too easy to penetrate. But this is how the situation is looking right now. So that's all I had for this video. And if you all have any comments, please let me know down in the comments. And I really appreciate the good response on my first documentary. I'm planning another one for this Saturday. And usually, I think I'll keep a steady schedule for documentaries every Saturday. So that's all I had for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. And I shall see you all in the next video. Take care and Jai Hind.